Hi everyone, I'm back today to speak about houses. So basically I've decided to do a series on all of the houses, and I'm going to go through them step by step. I think it's very important to understand the basics because what happens often is that we go through Jyotish and all of the sort of so many layers of knowledge, and we go through that and we neglect to go back to the basics, and we forget the obvious. So I think it's important to again cover the basics, and so I think I'm going to start with a series on houses. And then eventually I'm also going to do a series for each planet as well, and talk about that. Okay, so today, to get started, I want to speak about the first house. The first house is one of the most important houses in your birth chart, and it will give you a very good idea of your birth chart from the standpoint of your karma and your purpose in life. So it's very important to examine the first house very closely. So basically, what does the first house signify? So for one thing, it signifies your confidence level. To see that, you have to look at the first house, and also to see what the first house lord is doing, what house it's in, who it's associated with. So confidence level, you can see from the first house, how the world relates to you. Do you have the ability to be recognized in the world? This is something to see from the first house, and the seventh as well. So you see both the first and seventh for that. Your physical body, your constitution, your vitality is all looked at from the first house, and just your general health. Your intellect, your childhood. So if it's a good first house, then your intellect would be quite good, your health would be decent, and even your longevity can be seen from the first house, and what the first house lord is doing in your chart. So it represents the head and the neck, the first house, and therefore it's known as your lagna, your ascendant. If to see whether it's strong, you also have to see if there's benefics in the first house, or is it placed well? Is it a friendly sign? Is it is there a planet in its own house, or is it in an enemy sign? So that all has to be looked at. Is the planet in a Mul Trikon side? Is it receiving good aspects? So for example, if you've got an Aries Lagna, but you have Saturn sitting there, obviously that's not a very good position for Saturn. But perhaps Saturn is receiving an aspect from Jupiter, a very strong Jupiter, or perhaps a very strong Venus. So that has to be looked at. So if you have malefics in the first house, whether it's debilitated or is it aspected by malefics, does it have a malefic influence, generally speaking, that has to be looked at. And the other thing that I always look at when I look at the first house, just generally, regardless of what lagna you are, I also look at the sun's position, because the sun is actually the karaka for the first house, because it represents our soul, it represents our vitality. So if you see that you have a very strong sun, but you have a compromised first house, that really balances things out. So I feel that the sun's position in this regard is very important. So that's all for now. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe below. And I also have a website that you can have a look at for articles that I post, and videos, etc. So it's www.anahitarao.com. Thank you for listening.